Welcome back, my friends. Let's say it. Get it out there for the world. Let me go to the chat here. Actually streamlining the setup a little. However, does it really make sense to streamline it when you're going to be switching your software? Let's do that. We'll send that. I already said it, but I said it again. Today's culprit. Should we be blurring logos? Is that really an issue? When this is what you work on? I guess it would be, huh? Alright, so this one, we're merely checking out diagnostics. We got an HP 15-F233WM. So before we even turn this on, let's take a stab at what's in here. It should be, I think it's a cut corner budget laptop. One of the, maybe a RAM slot's missing. Maybe there's not actually a cooling fan. I'm guessing there is no cooling fan. Okay, yeah, no cooling fan from what I can tell outside, just guessing. I had to take a look here at the slot. So, cut corner, it should be maybe an Intel Celeron N3050. I'm not sure which one it is. Do we look it up? Or do we check the BIOS? Basically, we need to check it out and see what the problem is. Let's, we're not going to look it up. We're not going to cheat today. There's what's up on the screen, and then you know the other screen. It is just OBS. Intel Celeron N3050, maybe one RAM slot missing. I'll be really surprised if we open this and get 2 RAM slots, but let's go for it. Let's get a little bit of a buffer. We'll lay that down. And also, you know what I didn't do? Let's check this out, because this is completely upside down. So while we're here, we are going to transform, rotate 180 degrees. Now you see what I see. Good, good, good. Okay. Could you imagine that? Here, and then we go here, and I'm reaching in from the top of the display of the head. Okay, it's all in the camera setup. Alright, 1 RAM slot or 2? Come on, people. Let's have a guess. Stab a guess. Is there 1 RAM slot or 2 in here? If you had to say something. 1 RAM slot or 2? 1 or 2? I'm going to say 1 before we open it up. I could be wrong though. Place your bets now. Hurry up, place your bets. I don't know that this has ever been opened up. It's being mighty difficult with coming apart. We're gonna have to pry into it. Excuse me, HP. I need to pry into your life for a moment. I know the last thing you wanted in your life was somebody digging deep. It's okay. We gotta find out what's wrong with you and then give a holler to somebody else and see if they wanna make you great again. Alright. So we've got one RAM slot. Let's zoom this in so we can get a nice close-up of it. So we've got one there. It's actually, we got the touch to focus working again. So we've got the one, and then you can see the pads for the other, but the actual slot isn't there. If that's not there, there's going to be multiple other components on the actual board that are also going to be missing. So yeah, it's not like I thought. Maybe could you get lucky and just get the hot air gun and undo a RAM slot from another board, pop it on. In my experiment with one of these exact models that had other problems, I did add a RAM slot. It did not recognize, it did not work. There were multiple other capacitors, resistors, thermistors, MOSFETs, a whole list of things where there were blank spots in the board where they should have been in a similar pattern to the chips that back up this RAM slot and power it. Like the power rail, everything. Just everything that makes this RAM slot work elsewhere on the board was missing for the second one. So I'm not an engineer. I wouldn't know how. I'm not an electrical engineer. I wouldn't know how to go about doing it. So before we get in too deep, we can see one RAM slot missing, definitely a budget laptop. When we get inside here also, we're going to notice another thing. And you can kind of see it there, that there's no heat sink, no fins. Now granted, there may be some inside here, but I'm guessing no. It's just going to be a flat piece of aluminum that is painted black, or possibly has a black a copper sticker that has a black backing on it attached to aluminum, something. There's going to be some cheap piece of metal and no actual fan if we get into it. First, let's get the power cord and see what symptoms we can get. It's always tough to remember to do that. Another thing, when going in, you can practice this all the time. Whenever you go into work on a laptop or a desktop, there's some basic things you can do, and I've probably never even brought them up, but let's take a moment and go over them here. Okay, one, just so you don't short anything out, and it'd be safe to assume if it's in because it's infected, maybe you don't need to check over something like this. But in for an unknown issue like this, don't know what the issue is. Literally, the problem is let him know. First things first, we're going to check the end of the DC jack here, and let's make sure that we can, who knows if you can even see it. It's still focusing on that keyboard. That's about as good as I think we're going to get it down there with the keyboard. You can see that there is a center pin there, and there's no black piece of plastic stuck in. Let's take another look at something else quick. Can we get focus on it? Almost. Almost. Okay, so we can see the center is in the DC jack, and then that's where that metal pin would plug into in the center there, and that actual center barrel to isolate the center pin and the outer barrel, and the contacts that are in here that touch these actual places here, out here and inside, and then the central pin. If that was missing, that's when people would plug this in and it moves around and bends some of those contacts and short it out. That's what happened with one not so long ago, almost identical to this, but a slightly more powerful, that we had put a board into. Not the one with the coffee, it was one that we did a DC jack and the DC jack over here and the motherboard went in. So those two problems are out of the way. We've checked our power supply, we've checked our DC jack. Now, let's take it one further. We'll go ahead and throw our multimeter down. Got it there. We can plug in. We do have some damage. You can see the damage right here on the cord, where the insulation, the sheathing on the wire, the outer casing on the wire has peeled back. But for now, let's go ahead. We will move that up, refocus it, and switch over. We're going to plug in our power supply and then lay it down, and we'll get the other end and check our voltage, see what our output voltage is. Doing some, now granted, do you need to always do these things? No, but doing some of them can really help save some time and frustration. Let's focus that and switch over there. Whenever you check these, if it's one of the blue ones, HP like this, basically you want one outside, one in the center. Hot's usually in the center, that way it won't, if it touches anything else, it's not going to put power to it if it happens to be grounded. Generally, not always. But you want to touch the outside and then go in, and you can actually touch the inner barrel. We're getting 19.55 volts. And then if you can hold it steady enough to go in and touch that central pin, which is a fairly tough job to do with how small it is. Alright, and it's like, if we could get it steady on there, we're gonna get 18.63 volts on the central pin, and then if we touch the inside of the outer barrel, it's 19.55. I don't understand the wiring in these HPs. I've never torn one down to see exactly what they have going on, but so we know we're getting power from our DC power supply. Let's open this up. Let's go for a slightly bigger view here. We'll go ahead. One, I can never stand the mess. So let's go ahead and wrap some of this up to get it out of the way. Alright, that will be our point. That should leave enough room to go, at least on this bench. Depending on what you're doing, where you're working, you may need more reach. However, I don't. And that's actually, I could have got one more wrap in there and still been good. We'll let it be. When we plug in, we can notice something. Let's go ahead and switch back over to that. Try and focus in. Really, it's not going to focus. Too much of the background showing. Okay, so when we plug in, we can see we get something happening. We're getting power to the board, and it just went from orange to white. Did it turn on? We don't know. Okay, so we have a white light. I think, if I am not mistaken, white is charging, or orange is charging, white is fully charged. Either way, we get a light there, so we have some kind of power. Now, this thing took a hit or two here on the corner. Not good. It is broken and part of the hinge cover is missing. So when we turn it on, let's see what happens. Okay, we have the Wi-Fi light lit up orange, and we got a splash screen. And we missed our chance to get into the BIOS. So it's going to go into Windows, hopefully, and we will check from there. I think part of the problem, let me read this paper again. He said when it turns on, the Wi-Fi light is orange. That would be a good, basically it's turned off and you can't turn it on until you get into Windows. It appears that as though it's starting up. However, we're going to give it some more time here. It did attempt to spin, and then I believe it shut down, so this could be going into territory where it's going to get crazy. If it has see, it started booting Windows, that's why I'm not buying it. We don't have any brightness control. The screen is flashing now. So it's on, but doing nothing at the moment. Wi-Fi light's orange. A bad BIOS? Maybe, possibly. Can you see something? Oh no, that's just dirt on that's a smudge on the screen. Okay, I thought maybe we could actually see something in my display. Alright, nothing yet. We have a blank screen. One thing we're going to check, because we do have the resources here, we're going to plug in an external display and see. Okay, so the computer is booted up. We just have nothing here on the display. Now, is it bad? Did the display cable come loose? We don't know what. So it is in Windows. We can't, and our Wi-Fi is back on. It was just merely turned off. So there's one problem solved. Wi-Fi is working again. Let's go ahead down here and attempt to connect. Ah, okay, here we are doxing people. Okay, how do I do it where you can't see it? We gotta get in there somehow. How do I not show you? Do I have... Same thing. Oh wow, it's already out there. What are we gonna do? Let's shut down, and we're gonna first let's check what could be the problem with our display. Okay, so possibly broken wire. If we take a look here, we can see that is our display cable coming down. Has it shorted out by rubbing on the metal hinge? Possibly. It looks like something got stuffed in there. I don't like that. So what we're going to do is let me use another display for the time being. We'll grab the HDMI from over here, I'll throw it up on the monitor, and I'm going to get it, one, connected to Wi-Fi, and two, powered down so we can check out our display cable. With the damage right there where that cable comes through, that could be not good if it has worn through. Okay, and we do have a display over here. We don't, however, have a password. We may have to call for that if we need to get into Windows. I don't believe we do for this particular repair. Let's go ahead. I'm going to connect it to our Wi-Fi right now. That way we don't have to do this. Alright, connecting. Password. And finally we're going to power down. Alright, and our display is off. We're going to wait. We don't have any indicator lights other than on this side. Let's try and focus there for a moment. Of course it won't. You can see there we're waiting on the hard drive and everything to shut off. It is probably going to be a few moments. We'll wait on those to shut off. This isn't every laptop. This is just this series of HP. That's where they have their lights at. I'm going to verify with the display. Wow, that's really loose, that HDMI port. Maybe he has it set up not to display to the screen, but that don't make sense. And it's still being on. Let's try and flip over to the screen. There should be a key for that. And nothing. Alright, our lights went out, finally. They did go out there, they're not lit. We need to open this up. So, first let's take a look here at this cable. That's a whole nother situation. Before that, we're going to go ahead and release our battery. Locked, unlocked. We do have some damage. The display cable comes down right there. And it does not appear that it's worn through the insulation yet. Bad display. We do have a backlight, we just don't have any image, which is kind of curious why it's not displaying. Well, we have a few things here to remove. I'm not digging that plastic tray. We'll get Kitty out. These are fairly easy to open. We're going to go to the bigger one so we have a better view. All you really need is to get in, just get your plastic tool, your metal tool in here and slide. You don't want to go prying. You want to get in there and find a spot where it stops, and if you can get it to come out just that little bit, just ever so slightly out. Once you get one, you should be able to work your way around the display, work your way across the top. It usually pops like that across the top, and then just work your way down each side. No actual tools needed. And after you take the bottom two screws out, there will be a strip of adhesive, and your hinge covers will snap off like so. Alright. Is it a bad display? I wonder. We have a couple more of these. I believe we're going to have an exact match to this one, if I'm not mistaken. For now though, let's go ahead and pull the few screws. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 that will let this display come out, and we can then attempt to swap in a new one. We'll see if that remedies the problem. If it does, then we shortcut a lot of work. If it doesn't, then we've got a bigger problem on our hands. And we can call with a price to see if he wants to fix his display. Some jobs just want it fixed whenever they bring it in, and others they want included in the chain, the procedure. Saying, I need that, I need this in my life. But I don't know if it's worth a couple dollars. Okay. When you take these out, you do have generally a piece of tape that is holding, and usually it comes up a little further. You want to try and get under the tape. Tweezers are a good thing to use sometimes, not always. We're going to try and get under the tape and lift it. After you peel the tape back, you will very easily be able to unplug. Let's get in there. A little closer look at that. After you peel the tape and everything up, you will be able to literally just grab it and unplug it from the connector. Just pull straight away from it. Pops out fairly easy. Now we need to really find a comparison. Here's what we're looking for. We're going to see how close of a match we can get. If I can read it, oh, so much better. If I can read it, I know you can. Granted, it's crazy bright. How close can we get? Can we eliminate more white and add black? There's what we need. NT156W HM N12 version 8.0. I don't know that we're going to have one version 8.0. If you can match that number up, you're good to go. If you can match, if it'll get with the program here. If you can match that 100% in the version, the model number, everything in between in the version number or revision, version or revision, basically the same thing, you're good to go with it. Now, another thing, we also need to make sure that our little mini whatever matches. Why is that camera so dim? All of a sudden it's dim. Well, I suppose Is it the white? Of course it is. Alright, there we go. We'll take glare. We'll take glare over white any day. Okay now. What are you? All old displays, no interest, none of them. Okay, let's come out to our pile. We will check here. We're going to see how close we can get with that display. If we don't have to open anything up, I will be super happy. Did he? Okay. What do you think? You saw what we were working on, right? You saw what we were working on here. Let's pull this display out of the way. We're going to see what we have unboxed right now versus boxed. We do have a few here. Let me get my handy step stool. Man, that hot air in the top of the shop is something crazy. It is to be reckoned with. Okay, let's find out how close we can get. Oh, look at that. We have a panel that's going to be fairly close. Panel out of a similar computer, similar look. However, a little socket. Let's see what you can actually physically see their different sizes there. Not only that, we have a way different model number. We may not be lucky at all. But if we, this little one, if we can get close, it may work. All this stuff, obviously. Use it, up it. That's our tester. We have another panel here that is also a test panels. We have another panel with the wrong size connector. We have yet another one. If it's not broken, it may work. It is not the same model number. TPS2. This is where stuff gets crazy. We did this one day on a stream, I do believe. We do have a small connector, but we're going to see how these little mini LED ones, we may get a white screen, we may not. And I don't even fully believe that this display is bad, because we did get an HP logo and we did get a Windows Spinny. Why it's going to the HDMI out though, I have no idea. To the HDMI out and not the display. Unless it's wired through, and our HDMI port is fairly loose at this point. Okay, so now we're getting the computer to start up. We have the HP. Is it going to stay though? Or is it just going to black back out? Perhaps you can see that that display is lit. That's not light coming from another source. Even if we block it from the lights above, it still stays lit. Why it boots up? To, let's see, is it feeding out the HDMI signal as well again? Indeed it is. Okay. We're going to select PC screen only, extend second screen only. I think what happened trying to do. I'm not getting any picture here. Nothing. So you can definitely tell that panel's lit, right? It's not supposed to be that white. Let's unplug. That is our tester. That's one of our test panels. We're going to plug this one back in. Let's power down. Unplug one thing, plug in. Pins may not align properly. We're going to shut down. Shut down, drain the power from the system, and then plug this back in and see if we can switch on our monitor over here, the multi-screen input. If this does nothing, we're going to go further into the computer to see if perhaps the cable's bad somewhere along the line. It does not appear to be. I'm looking at it here, and there is no point at which it is worn through. No point where it's worn through the insulation, so all is well. Alright, we are powered down. We'll hit our power button to drain the power. Let's plug back in and boot up one more time and see. Why it's not feeding this display. If we have to dig further in, you can see we should get the HP and the Windows spinner logo. Maybe it will stay on this particular screen this time. We powered up? Not yet. Let's hit it. Now we're powered on. We have the HP. We have the spinny thing for Windows going. It's very hard to see. And the screen just stays blank. Let's get to our external monitor. Okay, let me see if this doesn't show any names. Okay, and it doesn't. So let's feed this out to everybody there. Here's what I'm dealing with. One of the things I'm trying to get. We plug this in and you hit the one key for screen selection on the keyboard and it will pop that out. Tell me it's going to pop a name up because I hit another key. Of course it is. So frustrating, so frustrating. These simple things. I'm not hitting the key. I'm literally hitting to select the monitor and it thinks I'm typing a password. I'll try that for the password. Okay. Let's go. Click there. Go away. Alright, evidently I have no control now. No control over selecting the screen as I did after you. It's like some of these keys are disabled. Let's sleep it. We're going to sleep it and then promptly wake it back up. Alright, let's get the mouse over here. PC screen only, duplicate, extend, second screen only. We're going to hit PC screen only. It does nothing to wake the PC screen up. Even if we unplug, we're not getting anything on this monitor. So we're going to shut it down with the help of our external display and check the internal connection. Usually when you can display to an external monitor and not to the laptop monitor, like if you can't get a display here and you can display to the external, there's a problem with settings, a problem with the cable, something going on. So we're gonna run down this road. Let me shut this down so we can tear this apart and check the condition of our monitor cable. We do have a few here. I think 3, 4 of these used cables here. So we'll see if we can find the one that has the mini 30 or 40 pin connector, not the full size 30-40 pin. Alright, off. We're still powering down here. For the time being, we know this screen's good. We're going to go ahead and put our screws back into this. For the moment, let's do diagonals. We'll do the 2 of them at a diagonal. There we go. And that will give us something much better than nothing. We are shut down, powered down. First thing to check in this case, being that we tried software, our screen select, and I don't have a way to do it. Basically, it's a hotkey function where you can select PC screen only, duplicate the monitor on the external monitor, extend where this is one and you can have slide your mouse off one side of the screen or the other, or external screen, secondary screen only, second screen only. No picture on this, and a picture on an external monitor. That's useful for if you use a laptop as a multimedia machine or watching movies, Netflix, whatever, and you don't want it sitting there with it opened up with the screen lit up shining. You can set it up so it displays on an external monitor only, and when you close the lid that it does not go to sleep or hibernate or nothing. So you just have a computer sitting there plugged into an external monitor. Very useful feature. For now though, let's get our light back on and quit. See where can we go with this. We have a few here. We'll get out another screwdriver, bit. Not enough. Oh yeah. Back to your base. I wish we could time lapse this part. Every time I hear turning screws, I so wish we could time lapse this part, and you would see the time lapse. I would do the real thing, but you would see the time lapse, but it's not possible. Like I said, these aren't recorded live stream. Get our persuader. How many more times are we gonna need that? Magnet's not even working to pull that one. I think there is a broken mount in there. It's gonna be fun fixing. And we're running on borrowed time right now. So we're gonna try and solve this one. If not, we'll pick it back up tomorrow. So since our display works part of the time, I don't think it's bad cable or cable unplugged. I don't know what it could be. Is it settings? What? Honestly, what would it be? Because it does display the HP logo. It does go ahead and display the little Windows spinner. It just will not wake up. Would a broken HDMI port cause this? Perhaps. Would spilling. Would spilling milk or coffee on your computer cause this? Why, certainly I think it could. The fact that it even works at all, right there, that is not only dust. That is evidence of something. Coffee, cream, or milk. There's something spilled. You can even see the outline of it. Should we do the taste test on that to see what that is? No way. Hell no. So something got spilled on this keyboard. In that area. Take our few remaining screws out. So if that did happen, that's pretty lucky that the computer even stayed working if something was indeed spilled on it, and evidence is pointing towards it did. You can actually even smell it now that you got the keyboard out. It's just that curdled old. Remember, this series HP, there's so many of them that look like this. It doesn't open along the underside seam. It is always the top side seam where it pulls apart. Get your ribbon cables unplugged. I'm going to check the bottom. I always like to leave a screw or two in these, and today is no exception. When you open these up, if you're going to be pulling the motherboard, you need the Wi-Fi card out. Being that we want to look at the motherboard, a chance of something being spilt on it. Let's put this screw back now. We are going to pull the motherboard, so we want that out. Everything else looks fairly good. A quick glance at all of it indicates good results. Let's open this up carefully. Remember, we only have the screws in the diagonal if you did that. And another thing, you need the RAM out if you plan on pulling the motherboard out of these. There is a plastic lip. Let's refocus that runs right here, that your stick of RAM does indeed clip in and sit over. When you go to pull the board out, it's going to break your RAM slot or severely bend the lock-in tabs. We have it up enough that we can start to wow, that looks horrible. So dark. There's not really much further evidence of spill. Remember, the spill happened in this area. Let's check back here. That's fairly dark. There is no further evidence of spill, at least not on this part yet. We haven't looked here. Let's check the top of the ROM. It's in the location where the spill happened, just to see. Alright, and we do have see, let's zoom in and add a lot of black to the scene. You can see there we have some type of liquid dried, and it doesn't look like much stayed on the top, but it did get in the edge. Now this guy said something else, that it may not, maybe he said I think a cat peed on the counter at some point and it ran under it. That could be that. Did a cat pee on the actual computer? That's what I want to know. Okay, we have more liquid present, some type of liquid drying. What it is, we don't know. So it definitely got some type of liquid damage. What? Or milk, coffee, cat pee, who knows? The HDMI port does not seem loose. Back to our display problem. However, when you plug in, it's like it doesn't quite go in all the way. Looking at it here, the port is not loose in the, it's loose in the jack. But this HDMI port, if you can, I don't know if you can see that or not, a bit of a different port. Let's go ahead and take a look here. You can see here, when we're plugged in, it actually doesn't have sides on it, so it doesn't have the whole entire metal sleeve the whole way down holding it. It's literally the back when the port hits, and then the front where it plugs in, but nothing on the sides there. So that could explain why it's loose. If somebody would trip on it, it's probably going to unplug rather than break the port, trip hard enough, or fall over it. Step on it, you are 100% going to break it. We do have corrosion though on the motherboard where one part of it mounts down. That is like oxidation, like the bluish color like you see when pennies and that oxidize and tarnish. No actual damage on the board. How the screen works and then doesn't work, no idea. Well, let's pull a few remaining things. This is something to think about for sure. I'm going to pull it out, take a look at it, evaluate the evidence, and we'll pick this up tomorrow, unless there's something obviously, like blatantly, oh, we discovered this secret little gnome here on the underside of the board that's been sabotaging the whole job. Like something like that. Then yeah, aside from that, I think it's a motherboard issue. Can we check out the circuit for the HDMI port? Yeah, most of it's right here. We can, wow, that's so dark. Most of it is, and that's so blurry. Most of it is right here in this area, so we could take a look at that. Anything, we'll check that. Maybe we can replace that if that's the problem. It could be a problem elsewhere. To test all these tiny little components is going to eat up a lot of time, and that's going to rack up a bill. It's almost always cheaper to replace the motherboard unless it's like one bad component, or if you know a super shortcut method to fixing this, which some people do. I know some things. I'm not an electrical engineer. I know about electric and how it works a little, but it is not my forte. I need much practice. All right, what do we have left? One. And a few connectors, and this is a part. We have a SATA connector. We have our DC jack. Let's unplug it. And we have our display connector. And the board is out. I don't know if you can see that there, but that has that blue color around it. Looking at this side, and there we have our aluminum plate with our black backer sticker. Wow. So let's see if we can get lucky. Not right now. We're gonna bring this up tomorrow. We're gonna totally do it. There's no way unless I go get a cat to pee on this thing and then we wait. So I'm gonna let it alone, but just check this out. I've got an idea of what it could very well be. So let's zoom this way in and take a look here at this important factor right here. Focus already. Can you focus close? Not doable? Not doable. Panasonic, why do you do it to me? Okay. But, not there, it's lightening up for you. Look at this Super I/O chip. We don't have any, but what we do have is a lot of corrosion on this Super I/O chip. Right here. We've got corrosion all along there, on those 3 or 4 pins, and then on this corner here. Taking a closer look, let's zoom that out. We didn't even unmount our aluminum shield yet. Just taking a bit of a closer look. We do have some corrosion on other parts in a few locations here. 1 or 2 of those capacitors, or what they could be fuses, capacitors, thermistors, resistors, not MOSFETs. These are your MOSFETs. So we do have some stuff to look at. Again, here is, look how dark that is. That's insane. That's completely insane. Camera, are you just like overheating and being a loser, or what? We're gonna plug and unplug you. Maybe you'll come back to life. Oh yeah, no, there's no. It's not the shiny stuff. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick something that's bright. And we'll let it get a little darker when we go in. Okay. We do have more evidence of wow. Yeah, something got in here. Something acidic. So probably pee. Cat pee. And it ran this way. A cat peed on the speaker. He didn't like the sound coming out of it. Who knows? You got a couple spots where it got in. You can see here. Let's back this off just a hair, and we're gonna end it here because we're gonna check out the Super I/O chip tomorrow. So I think we found part of the problem. The computer's still working, but parts of it are not. No, that's right. It's all dark again. Parts of it are not working. Interesting. Very interesting. As you can see, if it doesn't get so dark that you can't see, we have this trail of, come on now, this trail of corrosion here. And we can kind of follow it through to see where it ran. Perhaps it made it through, not much on this side here. And then we have other spots where it got in here, along here, and ran this way. And also some got through here and ran over. That's not a normal thing. Liquid urine or anything of the sort. As of right now, this is just getting diagnostics to see what is wrong with it. Is our Super I/O chip stuck from being corroded? It definitely doesn't look shorted, but we'll at least check it out and let them know what it will cost. Anyhow, that was the crazy diagnosis. Sorry to brighten it up so quick and hurt your eyes. I gotta figure something out with this camera. It's not being very favorable. I tried to get a clearer picture. It has to be the scene. We'll figure out settings that'll work. But yeah, try to get the clear picture that we can zoom. I'm about to switch back to the Sony. Even though it has chromatic aberration, you get that little the RGB tint coming off of stuff, little rainbowy effects. It's pretty bad, but at least it doesn't grow crazily darker. Horrible Panasonic. I almost don't want you in my life anymore. Anyhow, I think it's safe to say we found part of the problem why it won't switch from HDMI. We can get a signal out HDMI, but not out to the monitor. We can explore the monitor cable, but I don't think the monitor cable is a factor because we get the HP boot logo, so we know that's good. We get the little Windows spinny thing after the HP logo disappears, but after that, when it actually starts getting to where it should be, putting a display up and getting through some of the functions on the board versus just the BIOS or the CMOS, that's where the issue is, and that's what the Super I/O chip's going to have control over as well, I do believe, if I understand some laptop circuitry. Yeah. So we'll explore that tomorrow. It's going to be an early show tomorrow, not an after hours. We're doing an open hours. Got a lot going on, so we're going to do it during open hours, as long as it's not too hectic and crazy. I also have a job or two backlog to catch up. Being that they were already on the stream, we're not going to throw them back on, but I am going to take some time to get those done. Anyhow, have a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's one of those. Enjoy it. If you fix this stuff, go fix some more. Try and make your junk good for as cheap as possible. And if somebody needs help, give them a hand if you know how. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate you. It's fun. It's passion. It's not work. It is a hobby. It's a passion. Share it. Thank you.